We're live.
All right, welcome to Betting in the Break. I am Loud Esmond, and I am joined by the famous Steehnroller, Scott Steen, from the Winners and Winers Network, one of the monarchs, one of the legends of that group, Winners and Winers and Picks and Parlays and StatSalt and the rest of the related group. And then joining us, one of the top handicappers, always, doesn't matter what sport, doesn't matter what season, drives me absolutely crazy. David Delano joins us here also from Winners and Winers. David, great to have you.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
All right. And our third guest, Scott Keyport, is the manager of the Little Creek Casino Sportsbook right here near me, where I am in the great Pacific Northwest. In the state of Washington, sports betting is legal, but it is restricted to only Native American casinos physically betting. Right. So there's no option in the state of Washington to do it from your couch. But that being said, going to a real sports book, cashing a ticket is always an exciting thing to do, and we're glad to have you here, Scott. Okay, since the show is Betting in the Break, and the top thing that we want to do is everybody who's been in the sports book, when the afternoon games are done and the evening games aren't on yet, what's everybody doing? You're either running to the ATM or you're cashing a ticket. And everybody who says they're going to cash their ticket and take their winnings, they're full of, you know what? Because everybody rolls their money right back into an evening bet on a couple of games because they're trying to grow their bankroll even more. And the people that lost are trying to get well.
So we call it reinvesting, Loud.
Yes, reinvesting.
Correct. Like catch up, gentlemen.
So quickly around the horn, I want your best couple of bets for the late games tonight, David.
Yeah, so one game under the radar that I'm looking at is actually this game between Oregon and Idaho. I see that the spread's going up. Oregon was about 43.5-point favorite, which is ugly. Now it's up to 48, but the total's coming down. So I like the total of 60.5 to go over. One thing I like about this, Dan Lanning has something in common with James Franklin. And I had Penn State on my best bet. They're both a little bit of, not sure what I can say. They're a little bit of a-holes a bit, but you like that as a sports bettor. They don't, they want to cover the number. They don't care if they're up 30 points with 3 minutes left in their backup quarterback. They want to see some more reps. When you look at a number this high, if Idaho scores just a touchdown, Oregon needs to, this has to go over for them to cover. Idaho's a little bit underrated, so I like that over 48.5. And then another game I like a little bit, this Wyoming and Arizona game. I've seen a lot of smart people liking the over in this game, but I'm a little bit liking this under 47.5. I don't think that we're going to see a high scoring game, and that's also why I think that Wyoming is attempting play to also cover that 7-point spread. So those are some of the games that I'm looking at on this night slate.
One of the quirky things about the law in Washington State when they brought gambling in is you're not allowed to bet on Washington State college sports.
All right.
So
I know nothing about Washington teams.
Yeah, there you go. Absolutely. Scott from Little Creek Casino Sportsbook. All right, Steehnroller, what do you got that's hot for tonight? And I know one of your picks is that Notre Dame game.
Yeah, I'll get to that one last. We'll do a little tease here, Loud.
Okay.
You know, I like this. I like this Kentucky game. It's been a game it's been a day of covers by the big favorites so far, and I think we get another one here. Kentucky laying 25.5 to a absolutely dreadful Southern Miss team. This offense was awful last season. Kentucky defense, that front seven is one of the best in the country. I think Southern Miss gets nothing going against the Wildcats. I'll lay the 25.5 all day long with them. The other one I like is the San Diego State, Texas A&M Commerce. I like the under there. We're catching 57.5. You're going to give me 57.5 of that San Diego State defense. I'm going to take it every time. Speaking of a team that probably won't reach double digits, I think that's Texas A&M Commerce. I see this one in the 42-0, 45-3 range. I think it goes comfortably under the total. And as advertised, I like your boys from Indiana there. I like the South Bend boys. I like Notre Dame to take care of business. Give me the points down there at A&M. I think this is a team that is on the rise. This could be it. This could be it, Charlie Brown. After years of pulling the football away, I think Lucy is actually going to let him kick it this time. This is Notre Dame's year, Loud. Write it down. I think they started off tonight down there in College Station. You know what?
Because you'll notice I'm wearing the blue and gold for Notre Dame tonight. Because I'm a Notre Dame fan, I do not pick or bet Notre Dame games. Just like I know you're going to hate to hear this, Scott. I hate the Kansas City Chiefs, and I cannot bring myself to look at them squarely. This is a big mistake that a lot of bettors make. Is they bet on their teams emotionally, or they bet against teams emotionally. And so when it comes to teams that I have a personal investment in, I just stay away because I don't.
Most of us like to give cautionary tales. You like to live them. Nicely done, Loud.
Yeah, I just stay away from them because I know I'm not seeing it logically.
If we see a customer come up to the counter and they're betting the team that's on their sweatshirt, I'm usually not too nervous that
not worried. Yeah,
it says I only have to lay 7.5. I'm sorry, sir. It's 9.5. Just change.
We started just
yeah, there you go. All right. So for me tonight, a couple of 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 picks. You got about 10 minutes to get these in if you want them. I like Fresno State, Michigan, and the under. Reason why is Michigan's got a tremendous defense. Fresno State's going to have a very hard time scoring. And Michigan has gone and lost a lot. Quarterback, receiver, running back, changes on the offensive line. It's going to be, I think Michigan's offense is going to be a work in progress. Not that it was ever something like Oklahoma or USC or LSU. So, but those teams don't play defense. In this case, Michigan's going to shut down Fresno State on offense. Michigan's going to stop themselves on offense a couple of times. So I like the under 45.5 there. And then I am going to give a Georgia State, Georgia Tech pick, but I've got about another half hour on that game. So the next one I'm getting to is Wyoming at Arizona State. That same game that you were on, David. I've got Wyoming plus 7.5 in that one. A lot of continuity in that program, a lot of coaches that stuck around, a lot of players that stuck around. Proud program. And Arizona State, a lot of changes, a lot of portal losses, and the program is just a mess. So I'm on Wyoming there plus the 7.5. Scott from Little Creek Casino Sportsbook, what were you seeing today in the book? What are some of the trends?
Well, we just saw people taking the big names, the big schools, the big matchups. They were kind of staying away from all the little schools. It was a little bit slow, I think, for us today. It's sunny weather here, so people still getting warmed up for the first weekend. And then I see a lot of splits between the money line and the point spread. So, like, we're rooting for Idaho big time here, but like the UCLA-Hawaii game, we're heavy money line UCLA, heavy point spread Hawaii, and that's usually a factor of the parlay cards or the parlays. People are coming in for the parlay, so I never quite know how that's going to work out for me. It's who am I rooting for exactly there, because don't want to kill the parlays, or am I hoping to take the money? I'm a degenerate gambler, so I want to get them both.
Right. Love to win both sides of it. Obviously today, a lot of huge spread wins by favorites. David, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I was on a good side of two of those games. I had Clemson, Georgia game. I had Georgia in that one, and then I also it was more than a touchdown out of huge spread. I also had Penn State. One of them that I was on the wrong side of in hindsight and maybe got a little too cute. I thought that Colorado State was much improved, and I thought that they could cover a 35-point spread against Texas, but they couldn't. So, yeah, this week one, it's been one of those weeks of not overthinking. Some of these games have kind of played out exactly like you would. I don't want to say like as a square bettor would think, but a lot of them have played out like that.
a game that I had a pick on, and to be honest, I didn't do any real betting this weekend. I did a lot of picking. I'm always worried about the first weekend of college football because so many places are playing cupcake games, and then you never know when one of them is going to backdoor cover with a field goal to get it down to 42 instead of 44, right? And so the first week always worries me. Also, they're kids. College kids, much less reliable than professional players. And so that's one of the reasons why I teased this earlier. I've got Georgia State plus 21.5 versus Georgia Tech tonight. And David, Scott, you both know, Steehnroller, you both know, and Scott wouldn't because he hasn't seen me on the show before and doesn't know my picking style, but I'm an analytics guy. I'm normally driven by the numbers. In this case, I'm driven by emotion. And the emotion is Georgia Tech coming off that huge win, having to come back from Ireland, all the celebration that's been going on, the distractions of having won that game, all the extra interviews, all the extra stuff. How up are they going to be for a game at home against Georgia State? I just don't think their head's going to be in the game right away, or the effort's going to be there, and Georgia State's going to come in ready and loaded for bear. Scott, Steehnroller, your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a home opener, man. If it was in the middle of the season, you might have a point. I think they're still going to be up for the first game there at home. Yeah, the travel makes it hard, but it's not all that much further than flying back from the West Coast, something like that. I like this Georgia State team or this Georgia Tech team.
Oh, I do too.
That number might be a little tall. You might be rescued by the hook there if you're catching 21.5. Georgia State should certainly be competitive at times, and I don't hate that play. Put it this way, I'm sure I'm backing you, but I'm not taking the other side.
Scott, Little Creek Casino Sportsbook, have you seen a lot of action on the Sunday night game, which is LSU USC, or on the Monday night game, college football, which is escaping me for the moment? Why is it going out of my head? David, save me. What's the Monday night? It's Florida State, Boston College.
And then you've got LSU and USC playing on Sunday, and then you got Boston College and Florida State on Monday.
We don't have that much action on those games yet. It might be people kind of feeling their way through the weekend, trying to see what's left. But those haven't been bet that hard yet here.
So, Scott, Little Creek Casino Sportsbook manager, one last question for you. What do the NFL Sunday mornings look like now at a book like yours as compared to the first year? Are you expecting an increase? What do you think?
Yeah, we've been seeing, each year more and more people, and it's amazing. Even as you try to get the word out, people still kind of like, oh, I didn't even know sports betting was legal. So I think finally now, especially with the major networks and all the partners and everything, it's pretty clear to everyone out there that you can come into a place and get your sports bet. So yeah, it gets busy. It gets really busy from the minute we open the doors right up until kickoff. And then we get a nice crew that hangs around and watches the game, but then a lot of people go home or go hang out with their friends. We love them to stay here and talk with us, but they got comfy couches too. Well,
yeah, you've also got a sports book bar and restaurant right there, which is pretty popular. So that doesn't hurt. All right, David, any pick for Sunday night or Monday night?
Well, Sunday night, not all I do have a best bet up on the site, so I don't want to.
Okay, so don't want to get rid of that. By the way,
I did want to go ahead.
By the way, there are Scott Steehnroller. There's a lot of specials right now on Winners and Winers. I believe one pretty significant is it's almost 40% off just about everything. I mean, you could get a season package right now.
Yep.
Look, most of the best bets are $29.99. If you're going to get a behind the paywall best pick. And by the way, the people on the network here, Winners and Winers and Picks and Parlays and others, we get judged not on the stuff that we talk about or the free picks we give away. We get judged on the picks that we're selling. And so everybody puts their best stuff behind the paywall. I would never lead anybody astray. I would never talk about a game that I didn't actually have a good feel on. But those are the facts. And so if you're going to pay $29.99 for one best bet, why not go get 40% off somebody's season-long package, which normally sells for like $499, and pay $300 and have the entire season of picks? I wouldn't necessarily suggest anybody do that with me, although normally I'm about 65, 70%. But David or Steehnroller's year-long packages, I absolutely worth the value. So you have a pick behind the paywall, David. What about you, Scott, on LSU USC?
I've got my side behind the paywall, but I'll tell you what, I really like the over in this game. This is two absolutely atrocious defenses last year. They finally got rid of Alex Grinch and USC. Holy mackerel, you talk about a guy that had the defensive coordinator job at a lot of elite schools and failed at every single one of them.
He's the Grinch that stole the defense.
Absolutely true, man. So he's been replaced. I don't know that they have the personnel to make a huge difference. I mean, anything is going to be better. And they have the same problem in down there in LSU. They brought in Blake from Mizzou. Problem with Blake is he likes to play a tight box defense, and that USC offense likes to spread it out. They run the spread over 71% of the time. So it's a terrible matchup for this LSU defense that's trying to make big strides from a atrocious year that they had last year. I like the over. It's a lot of points. You're going to look at it. You're going to see it's in the 60s. You're like, I don't want to stay there. Trust me. There's going to be some points. There's going to be some fireworks in this game. As a standalone Sunday night game, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun to cash that over ticket.
The Monday night game, the Florida State Seminoles having that deflating loss. The question is, with a bunch of guys having come in the transfer portal who were thinking, I'm going to have a shot at a national championship. I'm going to be on a team that's going to be highly touted and is on network TV every weekend. How do they react? That's, again, they're kids. They're not professionals. They're kids. And so how is that emotional hangover going to affect them? That's something that concerns me. And Boston College always plays hard. So those are my 2 cents on that. David, you got anything on the Monday night game?
Yeah, so I haven't made a final decision on that one yet, but I agree with you. Florida State, it could be a little deflating making that trip back. 17 points is a lot. And one thing that I wanted to say, it may seem under the radar, but like you mentioned, that Georgia Tech, Georgia State game, I'm actually really interested in that one. I decided to stay away from it. I was thinking about taking the Georgia State side. The only reason I stayed away, they had a coaching change somewhat late. Their coach resigned for personal reasons right before March. So I don't know if that might have a bit of an effect. But otherwise, they are attempting play. And I think that's going to be a game that's going to be a little more interesting than a lot of that people may not be thinking about.
All right. Well, the whole point of this show, Betting in the Break, is to give you some advice on the late games that are coming up, help you get well if you're down, help you double up that bankroll if you are up. Scott, Little Creek Casino Sportsbook, thank you very much for being here. Hopefully next time we can get you on the show, you can be in the sportsbook so we can see what's going on.
Absolutely. We'll get right down in the middle of it.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd love to have the ambiance. All right, David Delano, one of the better guys around and a great picker. And also Scott, the Steehnroller, he is one of the deans of sports betting on Picks and Parlays, Winners and Winers, and all the related networks. Thanks, everybody, for watching us here live on Winners and Winers